Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein. I'll be your presenter today. Today we are talking about donation statements and we're going to discuss how to customize your donation statements. So you definitely have some templates available for you in step 2 of the donation statement screens. And with those templates you can go into the report designer, remove different areas. We talked about relabeling fields yesterday. I'll show you how to do that again too today. You can upload a photo, your church logo. I've seen some really pretty donation statements over the years where people have uploaded a cross or maybe a verse or their church logo. If they have one, they'll put it on the statement and it looks really nice. All right, let's get into donations here. And then from donations, you can get into donation statement one of two ways. Takes you to the exact same place. So up at the top, you can do reports and export, donation statement, or right in the middle here, you can click on donation statement. Step 1 is going to open, and we talked about this yesterday, but step 1 is going to be the criteria or who you want to generate your donation statements for. If you don't change anything here, it's going to pull people that gave within this date range. That's always going to be your default criteria. So people with giving within this date range. Once 2025 hits and you come in to print your donation statements, your date range is going to default to the current year, which will be 2025. So you need to make sure when you generate your statements after the first of the year for 2024, you need to hit this little minus year button, and that quickly jumps you back to the 2024 year. That is really, really important once the new year starts to get back to last year. Okay? Let's go ahead and hit next, and that's going to take us to step 2. So step 2 down at the bottom is going to show you everybody that meets our criteria. So that's everybody that gave in 2024. By default, everyone's print box is going to be checked. If you ever find you just need to print a donation statement for just one person, all you need to do is come down to the bottom, click uncheck print for all, just check one person's print box, make sure your layout's what you want, and hit print. I get a handful of calls every month where people just need to print one statement for someone, so I do like to show that out. So uncheck print for all, just check who you need. And then you can print for just one person that way. Okay? All right, let's look up here at the top. In this statement layout box, you are going to have 5 templates in here. Every single version of this program is going to have these 5, okay? If you have any saved ones, so as you go into a template and you make changes to it, you customize it, you're going to have to give it a name. Those are all going to be listed up here. And there's a bunch. This is test data, so there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. But if it doesn't have the word template, it's not going to be one of our default layouts to choose from. Okay, you could go in and customize one of these previous ones, but if you're starting from the beginning, you kind of want to start fresh, customize a new one, I would recommend going with one of the templates and then going from there. Okay, so I'm going to go with template windowed envelope. That seems to be the most popular layout that we have. I am going to print it real quick just so you guys can get an idea of what our starting point is. Okay, so this statement, if you fold it in a trifold, so fold it over top of itself, will fit perfectly in a standard window sized envelope here with the giver's name and their address as long as it's in the system. So you don't have a need to print labels if you start with this layout. This statement is then broken up into 3 different sections. Your top section is going to be your detail section. This is going to print out every donation, every transaction that they made within your statement date range, which is up here on the right. Let me zoom in a skosh, which is up here on the right. Then you have your account summary section. This is going to list out every giving account that they gave to, and then any of the pledging or giving information over here to the right side, okay? Let me scroll down and see if I have somebody who gave to Here we go, more than one account. So we can see they have 2 transactions up here. Kitchen renovation giving was the account they gave to, and then general fund. So this is the detail. And then down here at the bottom is the summary, or in the middle, I should say. And that lists each giving account that they gave to out. And then it gives us a total given and any pledging information along with a grand total here. Okay. Further down at the bottom, if you're a pledging church, it's going to give you pledging information, non-pledged information, then totals. This is your quarterly section. Each of these 3 sections can be hidden. So if you don't care for this quarterly, monthly section, we can get rid of this. You can just completely hide this section if you want to. Okay. Now this layout is for churches that have pledging. If you are not a pledging church, really simple way to customize your donation statement is to simply check this box. Do not show pledging information. Okay, so if you're not a pledging church, make sure this is checked regardless of what layout you're using. If I hit print now, the statement's going to look a lot different. Okay, we're going to see a lot less information. Let's go back down to that one we were looking at before. So here's Bella's again. But as you can see, detail sections looking the same. But the account summary is now just giving us a total given column. It's not giving us the pledge, the over, under, the frequency, and all that. Those are gone. And then our quarterly and monthly section is now just giving us a total column instead of the pledged and non-pledged comparables. Okay. So that's how to quickly get rid of pledging information. Let's go into the statement designer now. So up here at the top next to statement layout, I'm ready to customize this a little bit. I'm going to hit statement designer. And that's going to open up this. It does look a little complex, I'll give you that, but you can really do a lot in here. I do a lot in Publisher, and this screen always kind of reminds me of Publisher. Each of these fields are its own unique text box. So you can really customize and put these different fields in any place that you find that you need them. So for example, this is a windowed envelope. Moving this field over here, probably not a great idea because it's not going to fit in the envelope anymore. So simply hit the undo button here at the top. I live by this undo button when I'm in here. And then that pops it back right where it was. But again, you can really come in here and move these different fields around if you want to. If you find you have no interest in putting your tax ID number for the church and what the number is, you can grab these 2 fields, simply hit delete on your keyboard, and that's going to get rid of those fields for you. If you find you made a mistake, again, hit that undo button. That did not do what I thought it was. I must have bumped something. Let's get out of here. We're not going to save it. And we're going to start over. There we go. That was weird. Okay, so you can definitely delete these 2 fields if you want to. Also, giver numbers. I find a lot of people these days aren't using giver numbers anymore. If that's the case, simply click the field. Again, hit delete and delete those 2 fields. That's going to remove them right from your statement. If you don't like it broken down by giving that's tax deductible and giving that's non-tax deductible, so if you don't put any non-tax deductible donations on your statement, you can simply click and delete those 2 fields as well if you wish. All right, let's talk about font and font size. The default font is going to be Times New Roman, and the font size is going to be 9.75. That's the default for this layout and all of our other templates. If you find that's too small and you want to make it a little bit bigger, you definitely can do that. But you have to do that for each text box itself. Okay, so you can't just come up here and change this and expect it to change for absolutely everything. Okay, we're going to see some of these fields still are not going to have the adjustment that you need. So what I like to do, I don't know what that undo button is doing, but I'm going to have to talk to a programmer about that because that it's not how that should work. Okay, so let's start over here. So what you'd want to do is hold down your control button on your keyboard, and you can hover over each of these boxes, and it's going to allow you to select multiple fields. When you select multiple fields, then you can come up here And you can choose a different font that you like better. Let's say we want to go Arial. That's going to change it to Arial for everything selected. And then you can also come up here and adjust your font size as well. Okay, same thing here. I'll just grab each of these. We're going to do Arial, and we're going to push the font up a little bit. Okay, keep in mind you might need to adjust some of your text boxes. If your font's too big and it's too wide for the width of your text box, you might need to make that adjustment as well. Down here on the lower left, there's a preview button. I use this a lot. This takes sample data or fake data and it puts it in a preview. So you can look at it and kind of get an idea of what your statement's going to look like without you having to save, close, actually print one, close that, come back in. So this little preview option is very, very helpful. Back to the designer, and now we're back to where we were. All right, let's talk about detail report. If you find you don't want the detail report, you can come up here, this third toolbar down. You have the name of the section and a checkbox, and then an option to edit it. So this first section is the detail report. If you don't want the detail report, you simply uncheck that box, and that'll remove it. And then the edit detail section allows you to go in and customize that specific section. So the detail section is what prints the different transactions. The default layout is going to be down, then across. If you want two columns, if you only want one column, you can uncheck this box to only print it as one column. Columns themselves, this is the information about the individual transactions and what's going to print. So it's going to do date, account, amount, check, and line item comments. If you didn't put any comments in, simply remove that field. If you don't add check numbers, simply remove that check number field. Changing the font in the detail section, you have to come in here on this fonts tab and make the adjustments here. So in the text boxes up above, you're changing the fonts here, but in the specific detail section, you're changing the column here on the fonts tab. Okay? We'll say okay to that. All right, now we're down to the next section, which is the account summary section. Right now it's checked to be included. If you want to edit that account summary section, you can. So in here, if you want to change the appearance of the columns, the font itself, that's all done here. The columns are adjusted here. Excuse me, so if you don't want the amount frequency or the frequency to show for the pledge, say everybody's a flat pledger, you could just get rid of those two fields. Also, if you don't do prepaids and you don't want that prior giving column to show, simply hit the right facing or left facing arrow to remove it. You can also adjust your account width. So that's how wide these specific columns are on the report itself. Okay. Now let's talk about this quarterly section. I'm not a big fan personally of the quarterly section. I'm happy to remove it. So to do that, all you have to do here is up at the top is uncheck this box here. If you do want to keep it and you want to do some editing and make some adjustment to how the information is displayed, you can do that here on the Options tab. Columns, you can adjust the columns here. And then also if you want to do anything with those fonts, here's the Fonts tab. But for me, I just want to remove it. I'm going to uncheck that box. Okay. Once I uncheck that box, it also removed the empty space that would have been there and tightened up my statement in hopes of saving some paper. Okay. Down here at the bottom, here's that official IRS approved statement that needs to be on your donation statements. I recommend keeping that. But if you want to move it to a different place, you can definitely scooch it up or move it to a different location on the report. If anything is pink, that means something isn't in the right location or it's overlapping. So right now it kind of looks like it's hanging off the side here. We can try to scooch it over. So I'm just holding the control button on my keyboard and now I'm tapping my arrow keys on my keyboard. And that allows me to just kind of scooch things in just a little bit at a time. I'm going to go ahead and move this back down to where it was though. There we go. Global memo. This is that global statement that you can put on everyone's donation statement if you wish. That's found up at the top of the step 2. And then the statement memo, this is if you put a personalized message on each statement. It'll print down here. But again, you can drag and move these fields all you want. Okay. All right, last thing I want to go over here is adding a logo. So over here on the right, you can click and hold on this and drag and drop this field. A lot of people I talk to come in and kind of scooch this over, and it makes them a little bit more room for an image of some sort. I did that way too far. But you just drop this logo here. You can use the arrow keys to make it larger or smaller if you wish. You hit the little gear, and where it says image source, this is where you browse and you find the image that you're wanting to actually upload. I'm not sure on this machine if we have a great picture. Fairyland, that looks interesting. Let's see if this will load. All right, so there's our picture that we uploaded. Again, I've seen cross, I've seen logos. There's been some really nice ones, but you put that picture here. It has to be an image file. And then once you have your image in there, all you need to do is come up here and do a save as. And you cannot use the word template. Okay, that's the original. You can't override that. But then here, next to windowed envelope, we'll just call it end of year 2024. Again, you can reuse this. So if you just want to call it end of year and not put a date on it, then you just know this is the one you need to pick in January when you're running your statements for the previous year. Definitely reuse it. Save it. We're going to hit the X to close out. And now statement layout is our windowed envelope end of year. And if we print it, we're going to see that logo that we put in next to our church name and address. You can see that we adjusted the font. Looks like we went a little too big with the font here and it cut off our year. So we definitely need to fix that. But everything else, you can see the quarterly section's gone. We got rid of the payment method or check number column. We got rid of the frequency and amount frequency columns. Those are no longer showing. Now, something I want to point out as well, I've had questions about this. This person only gave to one account, so it's not giving us a grand total. If you have a person that does give to more than one account, that's when that grand total line is going to appear. So if you notice it on some and not the others, it just means that that person only gave to one giving account. And if you are seeing it, it means they gave to more than one. But let's go back here because it looks like tax ID number and this might have gotten cut off. So back into the designer. I'm going to scooch this over just a little bit. I'm holding control and using my left arrow, and then I'm going to drag that space bigger. And then it's right now it says tax ID num. We want to stretch that out so the whole word appears. And now let's do a save. I don't need to do a save as because I'm correcting something. And we're going to print these and just make sure it looks better now. Yep, so now I have my full year. If you want to right justify this, you definitely can. Now my tax ID number is showing up correctly and everything looks pretty good. All right, let me show you how to do that right justify real quick. So here, I'm just going to tap my arrow over and scooch that on over. Whoa, too far. And that's going to save that. All right. All right, that is everything I wanted to go over with you guys today.